Chapter 15, DeeDee. This story contains a problem and a solution. DeeDee was a mousy-looking kid. Unlike most children at Wayside School, she liked recess better than spelling. As soon as the recess bell rang, she would jump up from her seat and run out the door. There were big signs in the Wayside School on every floor. No jumping down the stairs. DeeDee never seemed to notice the signs. She jumped down the stairs. Some children took the stairs 2 at a time. DeeDee took them 10 at a time. That was on the way down. It was funny, she never seemed to be in quite the same hurry on the way back up. There was another sign at Wayside School. No cutting across the grass. DeeDee must not have ever seen that one either. She cut across the grass and ran up to Louis, the yard teacher. "I want a green ball," DeeDee said. The green balls were the best. "I'm all out of green balls," said Louis. "Okay, then." "I want a red ball," said DeeDee. The red balls were just about as good as the green balls. They didn't bounce as high, but actually, sometimes you don't want a ball to bounce too high. "I'm all out of red balls, too," said Louis. "Do you have anything left?" asked DeeDee. DeeDee meant anything besides the yellow ball. There was one yellow ball at Wayside School, and Louis was always trying to get rid of it. It didn't bounce, and it never went the way it was kicked. "Anything at all?" asked DeeDee. "Today is your lucky day," said Louis. "I have one ball left, just for you. The one and only yellow ball." "No, thanks," said DeeDee. "Oh, come on, take it," said Louis. "Why don't you ever have any green or red balls?" asked DeeDee. "I do," said Louis, "but the other children ask first. By the time you get out here, they're all gone." "But that's because I have to come all the way from the 30th story. How do you expect me to compete with the kids from the first or second?" she asked. "That's why I saved you the yellow ball," said Louis. "Everybody wanted it, but I saved it just for you." "I bet," said DeeDee. She took the yellow ball and bounced it on the ground. It stopped dead with a thud. She stepped back, ran up, and kicked it. It went backwards over her head. She didn't bother chasing it. Instead, she played hopscotch with Jenny and Leslie. She thought it was disgusting. The next day, DeeDee asked Mrs. Jules if she could go to recess early. "Why?" asked Mrs. Jules. "So I can get a green ball before Louis gives them all away," said DeeDee. "I'm glad you have a good reason," said Mrs. Jules. "Yes, you may go. But first, spell Mississippi for me." Spelling was not DeeDee's best subject. By the time she finally got it right, she was 5 minutes late for recess. She jumped down the stairs, cut across the grass, and ran up to Louis. There were no green balls left. There were no red balls left either. However, there was still the yellow ball. DeeDee played jump rope with Joy and Mauricia. It was no better than hopscotch. So, DeeDee's problem was to figure out a way to get a green ball, or at least a red ball. You already know that this story contains a solution. DeeDee figured it out. See if you can too. Remember everything you know about DeeDee, Wayside School, and Mrs. Jules. Hint. The next day, DeeDee brought a cream cheese and jelly sandwich, some nuts and shredded cheese in her lunchbox. Here's what happened. Just before recess, DeeDee smeared the cream cheese and jelly all over her face. Then she stuffed her mouth with nuts and hung the shredded cheese from her nose. When she closed her eyes, she looked just like a dead rat. Todd was in on the plan. "Mrs. Jules," he called, "there's a dead rat in the classroom." Mrs. Jules was very put out. "I want that dead rat outside immediately." When Mrs. Jules said immediately, she meant it. DeeDee instantly found herself outside on the playground. "I want a green ball," she said. Louis pretended he hadn't heard her. "May I please have a green ball?" asked DeeDee. Louis gave her a green ball. "I don't know how you did it, DeeDee, but you're first today," he said. When Mrs. Jules found out that DeeDee and Todd had tricked her, she sent Todd home early on the kindergarten bus. DeeDee threw the green ball on the ground. It bounced 50 feet straight up in the air, and then she caught it. "You don't like me, do you?" she asked Louis. "Sure I do," said Louis. "No, you don't," said DeeDee. "Yes, I like you," said Louis. "No, you don't," DeeDee insisted. "Yes, I like you. I really do," said Louis. "Are you sure?" asked DeeDee. "Yes," said Louis. "Don't you believe me?" "I guess so," said DeeDee. "Do you like me?" asked Louis. "You bet," said DeeDee. "You're my best friend." "Terrific," said Louis. "I always wanted to be best friends with a dead rat."